Hey guys, this is the state of the game after the 4th session of the giant 13-player EU4 game. Now the game is dwindled by a couple players each turn, and now we're down to 8 players, and I don't know if it'll even go next week. But here is what happened in the latest play session. So my goal as France has always been to make Castile strong, make Venice strong, and make Great Britain strong. I gave a lot of territories to Great Britain in war, and I supported them in wars to expand into the mainland. I supported Castile against Aragon and against Portugal, and basically guaranteed that no one's ever going to attack them up here, right? I guaranteed them against Algiers and the Ottomans and anyone that could possibly fight them, right? Normally Castile might have to be worried about France, and I was like, look, you never have to worry about me. It's fine. Go and spend all of your efforts on colonization. You don't even need to field much of an army. In all of the battles, in all of the fights that we have fought with me and Castile on the same side, they never really fielded more than 18,000 troops. So I'm thinking like they really, scrimped and saved every penny to fund colonization. But Castile has, their colonization has all been centered around this area, and they haven't even colonized very much. If you compare Castilian colonization, they got a little bit down here too, to English, England's got way more than Castile. But anyway, that was my goal. Allow Great Britain and Castile to focus on America and protect them on mainland Europe, and then ask for their help whenever I need it against the Empire. So I'll take the land, you guys take the colonies. Together we'll be a very powerful force. Added into that, I also decided that I wanted to help Venice take Italy, and that was fun, and we succeeded in taking most of Italy for Venice at the end of the prior playthrough. So mostly the world formed itself into this Western European, with Venice and maybe Sweden involved, coalition, and then this Central European, Austria, Milan, Germany, and maybe the Commonwealth. Who knows if the Commonwealth will backstab you, kind of thing. And then the Eastern coalition of Sweden, Russia, Commonwealth, and maybe sometimes Austria if they need them, but usually they won't. So typically these 3 nations are protected. There's not a lot of fighting going on over here. All they do is just kind of grow forever and improve their territories and fight rebels and colonize to the east and do simple little things, and that's kind of cool. So that was a good dynamic. It meant that if the west gets too strong, then the east will help the center against the west, and if as long as it's a general balance of power, then the east will stay out of it. And that was neat. But Austria quit. He unfriended everyone that was part of the playthrough, left the group, and didn't say anything to anyone, and then changed his Steam name so no one can find him. Which is weird. Like, if you're done, just be like, I'm done, bye, it was fun playing. But because, he's a dude that plays EU4, it'd be nice to have him on my friends list and play EU4 with him again in the future. But I guess he didn't like the way EU4 multiplayer tasted in his mouth, and I get the feeling. I get the feeling. So with Austria gone, now it's Great Britain, France, Castile, and Venice, with maybe Sweden, against basically just Germany and Milan. And Germany and Milan are the 2 smallest nations in the entire game at this point. Actually, Germany, Milan, and Venice were tied for last place. So unless Russia and the Commonwealth and Sweden, Sweden wants to expand into Germany, and Russia and Sweden are fast friends, and these guys had been allied. So there's basically no combination of current alliances that would be reasonable. Great Britain and France alone, with no help from anyone else, could probably stand against the rest of the world at this point. Because together we'd have 250,000 troops. And Sweden is already allied with Great Britain, and Castile is like really permanently stuck allied to me because I could kill them, and I'm protecting their efforts to colonize. We've been good friends for the duration of the thing, and Venice is so dependent upon me to help them against Milan and Poland that Venice is really stuck on our side. So there's no way that this coalition of 5 players against the remaining 3 players can make for a fun game. So Great Britain says, I'll make the game fun, I'll swap teams. So he allies with Sweden, Germany, and Milan against the other 4. So now it's this giant 4-on-4 fight. And that's cute and everything, but he did it in such a way that like in the middle of a war with the Commonwealth and France and Venice fighting Austria, he backstabbed, and that's what makes this type of game interesting and whatever, and that's what he should have done. And sure, And the cool thing about EU4 is he comes and attacks with 220,000 allied troops against our 60 or 80,000 troops and is like, I get to win this war, ha! Now, if this were Rome Total War, that would be the end. He'd be like, I backstabbed and now the game is over. But EU4 is not like that. The most you can take is like 4 or 5 territories. So he gets 2 territories here, 2 here, and 2 there. So 6 territories from me in exchange for winning the war. And now we get 10 years of peace, during which I form a coalition against him. So there's this coalition formed against Great Britain that had included Germany, Commonwealth, Russia, France, and Castile, and Venice. So Great Britain says, look, I'm not going to win a war against everyone, and it doesn't seem like it's worth our time and the manpower to fight it, so why don't you just give me your terms, and I surrender, and I'll give you the territory that you ask for. So I was planning to just ask for the territory he took from me back. You know, now we got the 4-on-4 game that he wanted, but he doesn't get to start out with a whole bunch of extra territory. But then Russia says, I'm not going to fight way over in the west. This is a coalition to prevent you from expanding further. We're not going to attack you. So now I can't attack without having some conversations. The game is unpausable, so during all of these conversations, the game is kind of going on and going on. I talked to Germany and Venice and Castile and the Commonwealth about whether or not they want to fight Great Britain in a coalition war without Russia. But without Russia, it seems like Sweden, Great Britain, and Milan can field about the same number of troops as us, and the only person that would benefit from the war would be me. I would get back the territory that I lost. And, I mean, Castile benefits by keeping me happy, so I could see why they'd want to come in. Venice also benefits by keeping me happy, and they're afraid of Milan, who's Britain's ally, so it makes sense for them to come in. But the Commonwealth gets nothing, and Germany gets nothing, and Russia gets nothing. So Russia has the balls to be like, look, if there's nothing in it for me, I'm not coming, and that's cool. I wish he hadn't said that, but, you know, I understand why he did. Commonwealth says, look, I'm in it. I plan to be emperor someday, and the empire is at war with Britain, so let's kill Britain, baby. Germany says, Britain offered me territories to stay neutral. And so I say to Germany, why take territories to stay neutral? As long as you stay in, we get territories and victory. So tell me the territories you want, and I will make them part of the peace deal. And he says, okay. And I tell Great Britain we're declaring war when truce is up, and we want my coastline back, and Germany wants 2 territories. So talk to Germany about the 2 territories that he wants. So then truce expires, and I send to Great Britain, all right, I'm declaring war unless you give us the territories that you said you'd give in exchange for not having the war. And he says, just declare, I think I can win. And so I send a message to all of my allies saying, are you ready? We're going into this war. And Germany says, Great Britain gave me a better deal. I'm switching sides. So now I could have attacked anyway and just told Germany, look, it's going to pop up a message saying, do you want to join? Just don't join. He already gave you the territories. Keep them. Right? I could do that. I could try to talk Sweden into switching sides. I could, you know, just declare war without switching anyone's sides, and we might be able to win the war, and we might not. But the problem is, I don't understand the coalition mechanic. I've never been in a coalition, because coalitions are always formed against me. I don't form coalitions. So I know that I can't take territory in Great Britain's mainland, because we don't have any ships. So I don't know if declaring war against, for Picardy, which is a core of France. If I declare war for Picardy, will it call in Commonwealth and Russia? So I don't know if it'll call them in, and I can't fight Great Britain without Commonwealth and Russia. So I can't declare war because I don't know the way the game works. And this is just me being a multiplayer noob. So basically we ride out the rest of the play session with a promise that maybe war is coming. Austria attacks Venice, and then after Austria attacks Venice, Milan attacks Venice and calls Great Britain and Sweden. Great Britain and Sweden answer the call, so I don't answer the call, because if I do, then we just lose, because we can't get Commonwealth and Russia into that fight. There's no way to get them in. And even if we could get them in, I don't know if they're willing to come in just to defend Venice against Milan. I mean, it seems like the war between Venice and Milan is none of anyone else's business, maybe, except for direct allies of one or the other. So Milan crushes Venice, I crush Austria, Commonwealth crushes Austria and takes a little bit of Bavaria, and then Germany declares war on Austria, but I get a siege of everything before he can get a siege of everything. And then game time expires, and that's where we left it. So the way we left it, I didn't fully siege and declare peace with Austria. So if Great Britain suspects that we're going to attack him, which we would, basically either he wins or we fight him. So his best move is to get Milan to attack me. And that brings him and Milan and Sweden and Germany into a war with me that the Commonwealth and Russia can't join, which means that I lose more territory. There's no way I can win that war, right? The only way I can prevent that from happening is to declare war with Great Britain and call in Commonwealth and Russia with the coalition, right? Because if Milan attacks, then they don't get called. They only get called if either Great Britain attacks or I attack Great Britain. So what I want to do is finish the siege of Austria and get peace. In peace terms, I could get this territory, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 territories. Tyrol has a giant gold mine in it. It's super rich. And Trent has mountains in it that are fun to defend. So I could get a lot of nice territory if I could finish this war. But I don't think they're going to let me. I think that if I try to finish the war, Milan will attack me and then I'll lose. So I think I might have to declare a coalition war before this war is finished. And we can't win the coalition war without getting either Germany or Sweden or both to switch sides. So it's time to go do some research and do some math. So after the game, first thing I did was test how coalition wars work. If I declare war on Great Britain and I say that I want Picardy as my war goal, does it call the coalition in to fight? And turns out, yes, it does. So good. We no longer have to worry about Great Britain's fleets. We can just take their mainland territory and we'll win the war. Cool. The second question I have is the coalition strong enough to beat Great Britain if they have all of the allies that they have now, or do we have to swap people, and if so, how many people do we have to swap? So that requires lots of charts and graphs and math. So over here is how big everyone's grown from playthrough to playthrough. Milan started very small and got bigger and bigger. Poland started pretty small and got bigger and bigger. Muscovy got bigger and bigger, and England stayed the same size between 2 playthroughs but got bigger over here. This is the economy. This is force limits. And you can see that I've been just growing by 30% every playthrough, which means that I'm falling further and further behind of the front runners. And the people that lagging behind me are catching up to me. So over here, as far as growth rate is concerned, I have the slowest growth rate of any nation. And second slowest is my close ally, Castile. Third slowest is the Ottomans, who never do anything. They're just kind of like off doing their own thing. And fourth slowest is Sweden. So it seems like the only chance that us slow people have is to team up and make sure that the fast people don't go too fast, right? Anyway, so over here we have the current standing of everybody. How big is your current troops? How many troops do you currently have? England has 127,000 troops by themselves, right? England by themselves has 127,000 troops. So me with 51 and Castile with 28 together, we can only field 81 against England's 127,000, right? So less than half. So if it's just me and Castile against just England, we definitely lose 100%. If Milan is on their side, when there's no reason Milan wouldn't be on their side, now they've got 170,000 troops just between England and Milan. Right? So if we can get Poland on our side, then that doubles the size of our army, but we still only have 160,000 troops against Milan plus England's 170,000 troops. And Poland has no manpower, and England has 133,000 manpower, and Milan has 27,000 manpower, right? So, and also England has 2,000 gold stockpile and an insanely large income. So if it comes down to funding mercenaries because everyone ran out of manpower, England can keep fighting for a good 10, 20 years. So I don't like the odds, even if we get Commonwealth on our sides, just against England and Milan. Right? So that's if we convince Germany and Sweden to stay neutral, which we might be able to do, we might not. Germany just took a deal that guaranteed that he'll help defensively Great Britain. So I don't know about getting him to stay neutral. So if we can't, then it's just blown out of the water. They automatically win. So the only way we can win this war, and this is shown a little bit better over here, only way we can win this war against EMGS, right? They have 270, 510, and 307, 307 income, 510 current military, 270 force limits. Only way we can win the war is if we swap Sweden and convince Germany to stay neutral. And even then, it'll be close and we'll probably lose. So I think that the current state of the game is that England won. And that's just it. You know, whole world gangs up and beats up England, or England wins. One or the other. And it feels like the whole world ganging up to beat up England just because England won sets a bad precedent, because then whoever else is winning will just get ganged up on. It just sets up the game for this sort of whack-a-mole. You know, I think there's just not enough players left. When there's only 8 players, I mean 9, but the Ottomans don't count because they're not participating in any way. When there's only 8 players, and 2 of them together have an alliance that's really scary, then the other 6 kind of have to gang up and beat up those 2 players. And it just sets up this, like, I can see the future, and the future is not cool. I think we need more players. That's what I think. So anyway, that's the state of the game. That's the maths. I am last place in terms of growth, and my excuse is that my goal throughout the entire game was to make England and Spain and Venice strong, and I succeeded in achieving my goal. But I don't think that's a very good excuse, just because I should have been able to keep my allies strong while also growing myself to a much greater degree. I think that I played poorly and that I could have done better. I felt like by taking France, there was going to be too many eyes on me, and if I tried to grow too quickly, that I would have gotten crushed. But especially growing eastward, I could have pushed much further into the empire and possibly even pushed for the empire throne. And by doing so, that would have put me in conflict with Austria and maybe Saxony and Milan and maybe the Commonwealth and maybe Russia. But if putting myself in a conflict with those people would have kept Sweden, Great Britain, Castile, and Venice on my side, then I feel like that would have made the game go down a course of action that would have been fun. I would have enjoyed that. I would have enjoyed fighting with my allies against the people that we have been opposed to, instead of forcing Great Britain to basically say, we win, so I'll give you a handicap, I'll switch teams, you know? Whatever. So, okay. Over here are pictures. Pictures. You like pictures, right? See? Pictures. I posted pictures to the discussion thread so that everyone else could benefit from my knowledge. I no longer feel like it's worth hiding this information from the people that I'm opposed to, because to me this game's over. I might play the next session just because it's unfair to other people for me to leave, because if I leave, then the game's definitely over. But I feel like it would be a lot more fun. It would be a much better use of the 4-hour session that we have next Sunday to start a fresh game with 20 players or 25 players instead of just 8. I don't think 8 players is enough to have fun. That's where I'll leave you.